Let's start off with your conversations with shale producers in particular. You did say that shale producers won't be able to fill the gap. Their output will be far below what's needed. Well, let's talk about spare capacity. If shale producers can't make up the supply, whether it's from simply the pandemic or from the effects of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, can't OPEC provide that spare capacity? Isn't that what it's there for?
Thank you very much. The shale producers in the United States, whom we have established an excellent working relationship in the last 5 years, have participated actively in meeting demand for oil. At the time of the shale revolution, if you recall, several of our member countries had difficulties producing optimally, and the shale revolution was very timely to save the world from imminent global energy crisis. So from day one, we saw them as partners, and we reached out to them, and we established this dialogue that we hold annually. And yesterday I met with them, and of course the issue of capacity was top of our agenda. I am told that their plan in terms of growth numbers for this year is in the region of about 1 million. And we are also aware that some of them had changed their models. Emphasis now by several of them has been on how to pay back investors rather than reinvesting to increase capacity. But in the current circumstances and the crisis that the world is facing, the issue of investment in this industry has to be raised to the highest level of our priority.
Sorry to interrupt. Let me ask about the OPEC spare capacity in particular. Your last meeting only lasted 13 minutes. Is there a reason that the Russian invasion of Ukraine wasn't discussed, in addition to perhaps including or tapping into that spare capacity?
No, I want to correct that assertion. For more than a year now, we have decided consciously to be meeting at ministerial level every single month. And in between these monthly meetings, our technical teams continue to work around the clock because of the uncertainties coming out of this pandemic and the fragility of the recovery globally. So it is not worthy to put any importance on how long our meetings lasted or not. I want to assure you and your viewers that OPEC, together with our partners in the non-OPEC, we continue to work together, we continue to take decisions together, we continue to implement them and even monitor the implementation. And in OPEC, we are working day in, day out, and in regular consultations with all our member countries on the issues of the moment. And we intend to continue in this fashion. The crisis we are facing requires all stakeholders to rally around to provide solutions. It's a shared responsibility. It is not just for OPEC.
When will you increase production more than the scheduled output? And what will it take to make that decision? What are you looking for?
We had decided last year in July that it was time for us to bring back to the market 5.8 million barrels a day as the last tranche of the 9.7 million barrels that we withdrew from the market at the height of the pandemic in April of 2020. And we took a conscious decision to every month bring back 400,000 barrels a day, and we are continuing, including during the last meeting. But it is also noteworthy that not all our member countries are able to fulfill their obligations, even the monthly obligations, because of capacity constraints. again, we go back to the massive underinvestment. The underinvestment is not only in the United States or in Europe, it's globally. It's a global challenge that requires a global solution. And we will continue to meet, to do whatever we can to contribute our own quota in mitigating this catastrophe that is facing the global energy industry.
Are you still in conversations with the Russian Energy Minister, Alexander Novak? How are those conversations going? Can you shed any light on those negotiations?
Yes, I have been in contact with Minister Alexander Novak after the breakout of hostilities on the 24th of February. I have placed a call to him, and we had discussed the situation as at that time. And he assured me that they will continue to cooperate with OPEC. They will continue to participate in the OPEC, non-OPEC declaration of cooperation. So that was comforting.
We had the Occidental CEO on earlier. She said prices can go as high as $150 a barrel. Do you agree with that? How high do you think prices can go?
Well, as you know, in OPEC, we, if you like, fixated on the supply demand balances and stock levels. We do not follow prices. I had dinner with Vicky, and I know her views. There is a common discussion here on where prices are heading to as a result of this perceived shortage in the market. But I can tell you, as at this morning, there is no physical shortage of oil. But there is a very strong perception in the market because of the volume that is at stake. The Russian Federation is the second largest exporter of hydrocarbons in the world, second only to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Therefore, you can understand the anxiety of the market, where these volumes, 7 to 8 million barrels of exports, be encumbered because of the sanctions. This is a matter of perception and projections, but physically, there is no shortage of oil at the moment.
Yet prices are continuing to rise. Why?
Because of this perception. These are futures markets, these are paper barrels, and they postulate that in the event that production halts and exports are halted from this second largest producer, where will the world get replacement for these barrels? And in several platforms, panels here, I have listened to the industry players. I think there's a consensus that the world does not have the capacity at the moment to replace 7 to 8 million barrels of exports. And again, this is linked also to the massive underinvestment in the industry.
There are several news items this morning. The United States say they are now banning Russian imports from crude, joining Canada, the United Kingdom as well. You also had the EU saying that they are aiming to remove dependency on Russian gas by 80% by year end. Does that mean other members of OPEC, Russia excluded, are going to be increasing their market share? Is that something you might address in your next meeting?
Well, we are looking at all the permutations. We are continuing to monitor developments. These developments are going, like a colleague said some moment ago, at a supersonic speed. So we need to remain calm. We need to continue to monitor, and our analysts will continue to analyze. Our decisions are driven by hard data. So what is happening today, we may not have the data until maybe some weeks to come. All our decisions in OPEC are based on real data. And this data, what are the sources? These are secondary sources. These are not OPEC data. We use secondary sources from reputable institutions and agencies, 6 of them, to make sure that our decision makers are properly equipped, properly advised to take informed decisions. So I urge you to be patient. We will continue along these lines, but OPEC, working with our partners in the non-OPEC, will continue to ensure that security of supply is guaranteed to the best of our ability. The challenges that are currently facing the industry are global challenges, and we are stakeholders, and we believe that we have to be part of the solution. Now, the conversation should be on what should the industry do, what should the players, the stakeholders do to mitigate this global energy crisis.